there's that babysitter mentality that I'm just constantly telling you what you need to do.
Yep.
Especially in the business world, everybody is adults.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to remind you to do your job.
Right.
You were hired for a specific position to do a specific thing. Your target should be clear to you. I don't need to give you a text every day that says, hey, make sure you show up at work on time.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Coffee Break Podcast, where our mission is to share business ideas, practices, and strategies while we enjoy a cup of coffee. Today's guest is going to be Aaron Beaver and Andrew Ingram, and right now they are actually sitting right there, leaning far back out of the camera so you can't see them. And as long as I sit here and talk, they're going to be uncomfortable, which is going to be a blast. So thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about a recent competition that we did and some of the lessons that were learned out of it. But before we do that, I do want to ask you and invite you to subscribe if you haven't already. We've got lots of these episodes that are in the hopper for you to listen to and lots more on the way. So we want you to subscribe so you don't miss any episode. You can do that by visiting Loc-Doc.net/podcast, or you can go to our YouTube page or our Facebook, like and follow there. Make sure you subscribe and so you don't miss a single episode. There's a new one coming out every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and we don't want you to miss a single one of those. So grab a cup of coffee, get ready, because we're going to break down this competition and some of the lessons learned from it right after this.
We got so much to say. We got a podcast to make. We're sipping on lattes, and it's time for a coffee break. Time for a coffee break. Oh, yeah.
Well, welcome to the podcast, everybody. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing well.
We're excited. So we're going to be talking a little bit about a contest that was recently completed.
Yeah. We did another contest. In a previous episode of the podcast, we talked about a contest that we did, and this is the 2.0. And this one is, we brought Andrew in because the success of the podcast, or the success of the game, was really on Andrew's shoulders.
All right. Well, let's get into introductions. We'll get into rapid fire, all of those things. But welcome back, obviously, our Alec Baldwin of the podcast,
Well,
Aaron
thank you.
Beaver.
I appreciate it.
Multi-time return guest.
Listen, I really am have a goal to be the most. And at this moment, I'm on pace.
And you've got just now gotten to the point where you're just offering up ideas that you could be the guest of.
For sure. I mean, I constantly just say, it's about time that I come back on.
Yeah. And here's a great topic.
Here's a great topic.
Nice shirt.
Well, thank you.
Very vibrant colors today.
Yeah. So if the listeners are listening on any podcast platforms, you can always go to the video because I got a really nice, colorful shirt on.
There you go. And Andrew Ingram, first-time guest.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Long-time listener, though.
Oh, yeah. Since the beginning.
Very, very hipster listener. But you took a note from Levi and got the tie on today.
Yeah, Mom always said, don't be the worst-dressed person in the room. Just the whole reason we invited Beaver along, just to make sure that I could hit that mark.
Oh man, this is going to be a good one. Okay.
now that we got that out of the way,
they're the people that are listening on like Apple Music. They're like literally just went to YouTube, so they can watch it.
You've got to see the video. So Andrew's wearing a nice green tie to complement obviously Loc-Doc colors, which is amazing. Andrew, you currently are working in the accounting department, but you also you create Google Sheets for everybody in the company, and you're also helping out with some development right now.
Yes, that's accurate.
Okay. Yep. So kind of a morphing role. You've been with the organization now for
a year and a half, getting close to 2 years.
Yeah, because you joined right at the beginning of the pandemic.
March 2020.
There you go. Actually, Andrew was one of the four or five people that we had start the week after the country shut down. So it was an exciting time for us. But glad to have you here. Excited to have you on the podcast. Obviously, Aaron is chief content creator with the lab. I don't know.
Yeah, that
just make up a title.
Exactly.
And all kinds of really cool stuff coming out of that we'll be talking about very, very soon.
Yeah.
But today we're talking about the contest, but we have to get to rapid fire. I almost forgot about rapid fire. And I see where that was going. So we'll jump into it. I know that.
How do you pick these questions?
I tried really hard, Andrew, to get him to skip
I know
it.
Andrew is excited about this. I generate them through a random generator on a website that you do not know anything about. So are you ready?
Well, let's do it.
All these questions are going directly to Andrew. Number one, rapid fire, five randomly selected questions just to get under your skin with unknown points. Number one, what or who are you always willing to make time for?
My wife.
That was an easy question.
Oh yeah, like starting easy. Yeah. I like this random generator. Let's keep at it.
That's the only person?
Is it rude if I say yes, even though I have a child?
He's
not listening to it, so I think we'll be good.
Just in years down, this is going to be forever on the World Wide Web, so he'll be able to find it.
Yeah, I guess that's a risk I'm willing to take.
All right, question number two. What's something that you believe you'll never be able to do well?
Something I'll never be able to do well.
Yeah.
I feel like skydiving is definitely going to be on that list because that requires doing it once, and I'm not willing to do it at all.
So you will never perfect it because you'll never try it.
Correct. Yeah, like base jumping, bungee jumping, all of those things.
So you have a fear of heights is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Or just that you're risk averse?
Probably all of it.
Okay.
Risk is like high stress.
Yeah. Like having questions thrown at you that you don't know what you're getting ready to hear.
Oh, absolutely. I'm burning calories right now.
Oh, it's so good.
All right. Question number three. If you could change the color of one thing, what would it be and why?
I think we would turn this building blue. I think the complex building would look really good in blue.
It was blue, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, and we painted it green.
Who invited this guy on the podcast? Change the color of the building back to blue.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, question number four. Who in your family can't you believe that you're related to?
Oh, geez. You guys, he actually works here. My brother-in-law.
Yeah, Jonathan.
You can't believe that you're related to him?
Nobody can.
Why?
We run in a lot of the same circles, and nobody believes us that we're related.
Yeah, I would have never put y'all two and two together.
Yeah, I married his sister, so we're brother-in-laws. But he's got a lot of personality. He's absolutely a joy to be around, and I'm nothing like that. So it like... Yeah,
the podcast is going to be great. He just downed himself.
You're not a joy to be around.
Oh, man.
Oh, this is incredible. All right, question number five. What is the strangest situation you've ever found yourself in?
Strangest situation I've ever found myself in. Oh, geez. I don't do that many strange things.
Yeah.
I do a lot of backpacking back when I was in Boy Scouts. So there were a lot of strange things that happened then that I'm not willing to put on the World Wide Web forever.
Okay.
So the thing that I'm willing to admit to, I found myself with a nosebleed in the middle of work. So I'm in the bathroom pouring blood down my nose. And one of my coworkers comes in to check on me, and there's just blood everywhere. Over the sink, over the mirror, like on the door handle trying to get in. It looked real bad.
Oh, God.
So it's just one of those situations, like I don't know how to explain this right now, but no, I'm really fine. It's just a nosebleed.
Just walked into a whole murder scene, and it was just like everything's cool.
Yeah. It was. I'm glad I was on.
Was that here?
Oh no, this was.
Oh, okay.
Back in my last job.
All right, very cool. Okay, well, congratulations, you made it through rapid fire. Very entertaining, and we'll give you a score of 300.
That's pretty good. Triple digits.
300. Oh, God. Oh, man. There's so much context that needs to be set up for that, but it would take way too much time. So, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
I feel like this whole segment was just for the three of us.
It really...
It's going to be great for everybody to listen to, even though they're going to be like, I have no idea what's going on. But,
oh, gosh, so good.
We understand the frustrations HOA board members and property managers face when deciding the best solution for their HOA and pool security. Should we use a keypad, hand out keys, or install a key card system? Do we even need cameras? These are some of the questions that are difficult to navigate, and we're here to help. At Loc-Doc Security, we've spent over 20 years working with homeowners associations and property managers to find the system that best fits the pool and HOA needs. Camera systems for the front gate or front entrance, key card systems for the pool gates, or simply updating the gate so that it meets safety and code compliance. We like to take the guesswork out of the process to answer any questions and help find the right solution. Our mission is to help you protect your people and your property, and that includes pools. Contact our team today to schedule your free consultation for your community. All right, let's jump into it, okay?
Yep.
So you guys worked together on the first contest that we did, which is a water drinking contest, which was to encourage folks in our organization to drink more water.
Yep.
All right. So you learned a couple of lessons out of that.
A lot of lessons.
A lot of lessons out of that. And then out of that, you came up with the next challenge. And I want to be clear because I think we were in preparation for today's episode. This whole episode today is not really, it's more about the lessons that we learned out of the contest, not really about the contest.
Right.
But we do want to share a little bit of context as to what it was so that then we can break down the lessons learned from it.
Right. Yeah. There were a lot of business application that we got out of it, that we learned out of it. I don't think we were looking for it when we built it, but there were a lot of applications that doing a game like this exposed. We learned a lot from the first version that we did.
Yep.
So there was a lot of integration that Andrew brought in that made this competition successful. But then the business that we learned, that what was applicable to the business was very important. So that's really what we're trying to focus on in this. It's not so much the game, but in which the things that we were able to discover for the business.
So a few things to kind of compare and contrast, and you can go back to the original episode, which was, do you remember which episode it was? If you just search Aaron Beaver, it'll come up, right?
Exactly.
But it was the water challenge, and that whole kind of framework was wrapped around logging in the amount of ounces that you drank of water every day, and we had that all on our team internal website where they could post it.
Yep.
You were able to present results. You could see how much you were progressing and all that. This next challenge that you did was a fitness challenge. So just kind of give us a bit of a architecture around what it was and what we were asking, our team to do.
So I'll start off and then I'll have you clean up better.
That works.
So the idea was that you would record reps, so repetitions, and we gave a target each day of the reps. And so each week had a target, and we gave you 5 options to do those reps.
Okay.
So
5 different things that you could do.
5 different things. So it was sit-ups, squats, pull-ups, push-ups, and jumping jacks. And so the first week was 30 reps, then it moved to 45 reps, then it moved to 60 reps a day, and then the last final week was 90 reps a day.
Okay.
And so that was the basis of the competition. We wanted to lower the barrier of entry, and so 30 reps is easy for anyone to do, right? And so the whole goal was we would start with 30 and then build upon that, and Andrew just kind of took it and ran with it. Because every game has to have a scoring system.
Sure, you've got to have a scoring system. And how much of the book Atomic Habits was this challenge wrapped around, or at least the framework of it, or did it have any context?
I mean, it's pretty much ripped straight out of the pages of Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
The goal of starting small changes are sustainable changes. So your goal is to encourage a healthier lifestyle through daily exercises. So any progress is good progress. So that's what Beaver was saying, trying to drop that to 30 reps a day. I can do 30 jumping jacks waiting on the shower to heat up in the morning, right? Just like knock it out. We have an old house. It takes a while for the water to heat up.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, we really tried to do, I mean, we even told our team that, hey, you get up from your desk 30 times, log it, right? So we just tried to make the competition, right, the joining in of the competition, lower that barrier as much as possible, and we would get buy-in. We knew from the last competition of drinking water that, where we set the max at drinking 1.5 gallons a day, that barrier was way too high for 90% of the company. So we wanted to lower that. And so Andrew was able to work through a lot of the competition, because of some of the things that we learned in the competition from the previous one was that week 3, nobody wanted to play anymore because they were done with it, right? But everybody still wants to win. And so in week 3 of the water competition, we made it a team-based week. Well, we knew that this next competition that we did, would be solely around team-based, right? So rep. And so we had a team system. And so, Andrew, tell a little bit about the team system and how you built it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Beaver was saying, that during the water challenge, team week was the best week because everybody wanted to help and participated. Nobody wanted to drag their team down. However, thinking through it, we didn't want the same team to last the whole challenge through. Like if the three of us were on a team and week 3 you hurt your back and you're all done and you don't want to play anymore.
That sounds very specific.
Very pointed.
There would be that internal frustration because I would want you to participate because you're holding me back and you're all done. You want to tap out. This isn't fun anymore. So every week we reassigned teams. So we took the top 10, whoever's in the top 10, and they were the team captains of next week's team. So every team had one person on it that wanted to play. The top 10 people were the ones that were competing tooth and nail to try to get to that top spot because they saw the leaderboard. They were there. They were reps and points away from first place.
And that was establishing a leader of each of those groups.
Yeah.
And what was that leader doing?
Well, that's some of the very exciting things that we learned about this.
Okay.
So there are a lot of things that from a business standpoint that we found out about teamwork. The Loc-Doc company is built around team. There's not really one thing that can happen at Loc-Doc that doesn't require someone else outside of your department. And so as a company, Loc-Doc is built around teamwork. And so we knew that that you have some teams that were thriving because of the way that they were communicating. And so we learned that there were some different personalities that were helping the 11 to 30 competitors, rise up. So the guy who won the competition did it probably the best and the most consistent. When he would get a new teammate, he would set out a text and say, hey, I took this person from here to here. All I need you to do is the basic standard, right? Just hit the target. And so from that, you knew from when you got on his team that you were going to move up in the rankings only because he had a massive track record. Every morning, he was texting you, giving you encouragement. Hey, is there anything going on? We had a few people that were sick on his team, and they still were able to hit the target. And no other, that was wild to see that the level of communication and how communication changed the competition.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the strongest person, because the strongest person actually did not win this competition, which is crazy. We had one person that did 3,750 reps in one day.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to put that in context, that was 3,640 reps more than he needed to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So a ridiculous amount. He did more reps in one day than I did in the entire competition. But he didn't win the competition because his team didn't win. And that's where Andrew, that's one of the reasons, he did a phenomenal job, because no one ran away with the competition because they were the strongest. We built the competition around some things, and it was consistency. And Andrew, how did we do that? We said the reps, but how did we build it around consistency being the winner?
Well, there's a really mathy answer that I'm going to spare you guys on how that actually works out. But the thought process behind it is there's 3 ways to score points. The first way is to do the thing that scores you points.
Okay.
To do it every day scores you additional points. And to do it the best in the company scores you additional points. So just weighting those out appropriately. So based on atomic habits, doing the thing should be worth the most points because I want you to do it. Then as an extra add, if you do it every day, you'll get some bonus points. In this one, it's scaled up, but it was around 9 bonus points every day for just doing it every day. And whoever did it the most picked up 1 bonus point.
So you had to actually look back at what you were trying to get out of the group.
Absolutely.
You wanted consistency, and you wanted group participation, and those were the things that you were incentivizing.
Yes.
So you weren't just incentivizing a max amount of reps. And I think what initially happened when the competition got started is you saw a couple of people that jumped out in the lead by doing a maximum number of reps.
Right.
And then they quickly realized after week 1 that didn't actually get them any value. Right. They were exhausting themselves by putting in all this effort, but they actually weren't seeing any high value results from it.
Yeah. That was a massive learner for me, because one of the things that I learned from the first one was communication was key to the team, right? So if any business leader is listening to this and they're trying to implement something for the team, a competition or a strategy, overly communicating it and making sure that everyone acknowledges the rules that were set was key, because that one example in the first week is where I failed, and I realized I needed to, explain a little better, because no one should have been doing that amount of reps if they would have known the proper game. Because first place, the winner in first place did like 22,000 I think 765 reps, I think is what that number.
For the total competition.
For the total competition. But second place did 2,228 reps. So there's a massive difference in the reps. And some of it had to go with that doing the best in the company. We have some very competitive people in the company. So the guy who did win first, he tried to win as many days as he could and was competing with a few other people in the company. So for that one additional bonus point. But what we learned is like the communication of the competition to the team was so important to keep 11 through 30 in. And so we created a team chat so we could consistently and mass communicate to the competition, to the competitors, changes to the rules or clarification on the rules or the prizes or how the points worked, because we knew as we went along, it would get more heated. The last week was super heated because everybody was trying to win.
Yeah. And it comes down to that kind of final target that, hey, we see the finish line and we're running towards it. But the big factors, I think, that it took everybody in the organization the first couple of weeks to understand was individual contribution helped, but only so as long as the rest of your direct team and your direct group were also participating. And I think that's one of the things that you can pull out of this from a lesson in business is if you're trying to grow an organization, you're trying to scale, you're trying to do something big, it requires consistent participation by the whole, not just a extra assertive nature from just one individual. And if it's one person trying to carry the load, then you don't have sustainability, right? It's just not going to happen, and you're not going to have long-term success. The more you can get group collaboration, the more you can get everybody involved and consistency across the board, then you're going to have your maximum output. Yeah.
Like one of the things that we did not want is we did not want the strongest person to run away with the competition. Like, and we all have teams that have that superstar.
Yep.
And, I think at one point in time, a Michael Jordan quote was thrown in because, what was it? Michael Jordan said.
Yeah, he said individual talent wins games, but good teams win championships.
Right. And that's really, from a business standpoint, was really what we were trying to do. Like, you're going to win a week, but you want to win the end. You want to get the prize at the end. And Andrew spent a massive amount of time in that. And I think that's hard from a business standpoint to really, that extra work. Like you can create a game, but to create a game that each person has the ability to win is really hard. And Andrew did a fantastic job of that. Yeah, it was. Well,
thanks.
It was like the success of both of the games and the gaming of the games were built on Andrew's knowledge. Like his knowledge. One of the reasons he's here on the podcast is because I'm the person that got to stand up and tell about it. But the actual reality is he built the entire game. So I gave him the infrastructure, and he made it happen and made it competitive. So much so that the second through sixth place on the last week was 1.7 points apart. So up until like the last 2 days, we did not know who was going to win.
Sure.
Because it was that tight, and he built the game to be that competitive.
Can you copy this key? That's a question we get asked about 3,422 times a year. And how can you actually be sure that the person who asked that question is supposed to get a copy of that key? Well, we think you should always know who can copy your keys to your business and your home, because it could be your neighbor, an old employee, a contractor, or even worse, your mother-in-law. At Loc-Doc Security, we believe in protected key systems, so you always know who has a copy of your key. To find out more, visit locdoc.net or stop by our Charlotte location. Loc-Doc Security, helping you protect your people and your property. So you're taking aspects of individual contributions and trying to equalize them, because we said we've got a couple of guys that are big into fitness and they have the ability to do that, and then you have some folks that have not been doing any type of fitness exercise or any physical activity. How do you create an equal playing field? And the big contributing factor of that is you're better as a team, right? You're better as a team if you can create that collaboration. And then the bigger factor of that is some of the things that we found is the communication side. So we already kind of touched on that a little bit, but the big results from the team, from the individual that won, was they took a leadership position in communication with their team. And when we were talking about it in our all-team meeting, we kind of broke that down and said there's different types of communication. And so we were talking about positive and encouraging communication, and then negative and kind of public shaming communication, right? And they both can get results, but which one had the better resolve to it?
Right, absolutely. As you pointed out, during the month, communication played a big role in it. And everybody who kind of was peeking behind the curtain at how the game works, that light bulb went off. So the best thing we did was right after the competition, broke it down in an all-team meeting of these people won because they communicated well. Communicating well is a really abstract thing to say. Really, when you break it down, communication happens on 3 roads.
Okay.
First, there's the communication out, the way that I present information to you. That has to be done in a positive, loving, encouraging way. It can be done other ways. Personally, based off these past 2 competitions, the positive encouragement going out is going to be your first key to success.
Yeah.
The second end of that is the person receiving it has to respond. If I am doing my best and am constantly giving positive, encouraging feedback, but there's no response back that it was acknowledged, you stop after a while. You turn into dad knocking on the door to make sure you've done your homework before you play video games, instead of being dad encouraging you to go, let's go outside and play together. Like, do
we need to unpack that later, Andrew?
After we turn off the cameras, we'll hang out for a couple hours. Right, but there's that babysitter mentality that I'm just constantly telling you what you need to do. Especially in the business world, everybody is adults. I shouldn't have to remind you to do your job.
Right.
You were hired for a specific position to do a specific thing. Your target should be clear to you. I don't need to give you a text every day that says, hey, make sure you show up at work on time. However, positive communication, that encouraging, that, hey, I noticed over this past week, you're rolling in at 8:10 instead of 8 a.m. Like, is everything all right? Do you need to leave a little bit earlier? Like, do we need to adjust your schedule? Is there something else going on in your life? Do you need to leave a little earlier? Like, are you getting home so late that you're going home, having to put kids down, cook dinner, clean up? You're not getting to bed until 1 or 2 in the morning. Like, is there something else that's going on that I can help you with? Because I noticed that you're not hitting the target that it's clear to everybody.
There were a lot of parts of the communication that I learned about. So we have a personality assessment here at Loc-Doc, and I found it that if I would have used the personality assessment and understood the people that were on my team, I could have almost guaranteed that I'd have won every week. Because if I would have been speaking the way that the people would have been able to receive it, it's guaranteed. Now, Josh, the guy who won, he won with the sweet communication. So I think the sweet, honey or like sugar gets the most flies or something like that approach, right? So like the soft gloves approach is the easiest, right? But if you can speak directly to each individual person, you can guarantee the success. Because some people like, hey, you don't have to baby me. You don't have to call me every morning and say, hey, you're going to do great today. I know I'm going to do great, right? So there are some people that didn't take that well. And there were some that when you missed a day, you got, hey, disappointments in the air, right? And so like they called you out on it. Now, for me, you know, I enjoy a good call out. You know, like you had Frank Schwartz on the episode a long time ago, and he's like, you can't do 100 push-ups. You know what I went home and did?
Hurt yourself.
I did. I went home and did 100 push-ups and could not lift my arms. I enjoy, but if my personality assessment would have told you, hey, Aaron loves a good call out. So if you can tell him he can't do his 30 reps, but if I had another person on my team that was like, needs more of encouragement. And so if you have personality assessments, if you have a team leader, like, they should get that and they should live with that of their team because it's going to be the most success. And so if you're a business owner and you have a team around you and you don't know your team that you're working with, you don't know their personality type, you don't know how best that they communicate, not even how you communicate, how best that they receive communication, then at that moment, you can really almost guarantee success because you can communicate on an even playing field. And we saw that that's who won this competition is great communication.
Well, and I think that, you know, going back to what you're talking about on the honey or the sugar and how it attracts the most flies, it's what we also found is that authentic, positive and encouraging communication, you can't go wrong with that.
Right, you can't.
There are some people that will take to the challenge, and that will rally them up and give them a little kick in the pants. But it's proven time and time again that authentic, because that, and I keep saying that because that's a big factor, not a fake positive communication, but authentic, positive, encouraging communication definitely will rally your team together and get some interesting and encouraging results because you are calling out the best in people versus trying to tell them that they're not doing or turning into that babysitting.
Yeah. Yeah. How well did you do in the competition, Andrew?
I think I came in 11th, maybe 12th.
Yeah. I finished, I think, 14th. And I think you finished 19th, I think is what it was. Okay, so I bring that up because we all knew what to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big takeaways that is for this competition. Like in your company, right, everybody knows what to do. And if they don't, you need to stop right now, stop this episode, and make sure that everyone on your team knows what to do. And even though we knew what to do, I did not even place top 10.
Yeah.
And like at a certain point in time, that was frustrating for me because I was like, I built this thing and reduced so many barriers of entry that like I should have been a shoe-in.
Yeah.
Like I'm running 5 miles a day currently at this moment, and
naturally
I couldn't do 30 reps. I think I missed 5 days where I did not do my reps, and which is so frustrating to me that we painted a clear target and I could not even hit the target.
But the person that won hit 28 of 28 days. 28
of 28 days, did the most, and they were the most consistent. And we built the game for that reason. And having a clear, defined, and setting it one time, that is the one thing that was exposed to me. Just because you set it one time does not mean that it does not to be reiterated. And so I'm the one who set the standard. I'm the one who said, hey, you got to do it every day. And even though I'm the person that said it, I still missed it. And yeah.
Well, and at times we actually recently had another guest on the podcast, Lucas Baselli, and he was talking about that oftentimes it requires repeating relevant information and reminding people about it, because even if you know, it just takes that regular reminder of the encouragement. Hey, this is where we're not, and I think it's a balance of the babysitting mentality versus the encouraging people to make good decisions and make the right decisions. But what has happened is you see somebody that jumped into a leadership position and found a way to positively encourage people in an authentic way, created consistency, not only for them, but for the people that were on their team at that time, which then ultimately saw them win a competition. You take that out of the framework of 28 days in a year, and you replicate that over the course of an entire year. Those leaders that can encourage their team to be consistent and do what they're supposed to do consistently, you're going to see those teams win, and that's going to be something consistent across the board. Is consistency over time with the mass amount of people, you're going to have good results. And as leaders, we get frustrated when our teams are inconsistent and when they're not producing what they're supposed to do. The question is, how do you flip that switch and how do you get people on board so they have clear targets? Because that was one of the things with the competition, having a clear target every day, and then also having a way to encourage people to be consistent. Clear targets and consistency are what wins.
Yeah. As a business, one of the things that me and Andrew, in preparation for this, we talked about leaders and finding ways to do things of the game that were applicable to business. Mm-hmm. And we saw a lot of leaders that currently aren't necessarily leaders, right? So Loc-Doc is a leader company, right? Mm-hmm. Like leadership is not necessarily a label. Mm-hmm. It's like we did that, but that's kind of tough in a lot of businesses to place somebody as a leader. Mm-hmm. But we saw a lot of leaders rise to the top that weren't deemed leaders. Mm-hmm. There's going to be somebody that assumes the leadership role. And I think with the team competition, we built it so that leaders would show themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's something that we are intentional on. I think it'll be something that happens in every competition that we do, is give people the opportunity to lead.
Yep. And create an avenue of clear targets and the ability to be consistent. But you do have to have somebody to rally the group, rally the team. Absolutely.
We've set it up a ton of times. It's clear targets, knowing what you're aiming for and who's on your team. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, especially in the small business world, you can get so narrow on who's on my team. Mm-hmm. My team is the accounting department, the 3 people in there. Mm-hmm. May not be the most helpful analogy, because really the whole company is my team. Mm-hmm. Right. We are all a team, and our goal is to help people protect their people and their property. Mm-hmm. So the whole team is rallying behind that one mission. Mm-hmm. You have your smaller teams that are rallying behind a more specific mission in order to have the company succeed.
Yeah.
So you just keep breaking it down, a big target for the company, smaller target for the division, smaller target for the department, smaller target for the 3 people in an office together.
Yep. And then if you can do that consistently, then you
absolutely
you build towards winning. So a couple of components for, I guess, resources, Atomic Habits.
Yep.
And then because that's where a lot of these frameworks came from. And then what are some other resources that you use to kind of build upon this?
I would always recommend Leaders Eat Last.
Okay.
By Simon Sinek. He has a whole chapter on the circle of trust and understanding who's on your team. You guys are working together. Mm-hmm. You've got to be able to be open with authentic communication. Mm-hmm. You've got to be willing to be a little bit vulnerable with your subordinates. Mm-hmm. Like you have to be a leader who leads from behind.
Yep.
Yeah. From the gaming aspect of this, if you're looking for, I would just say start with any game. Take Uno or take any game that is already built. Look at the infrastructure that it's on and try to replicate it into what we're doing. Now, I hope that you have somebody like Andrew on your team is a massive game constructor. So there's a lot of infrastructure that went into this. Mm-hmm. You're more than welcome to reach out to us, and we can show you the game infrastructure. I don't know how they probably link in the bio to how you can get a hold of us, but we definitely would love to share the way the game was built, because I think there's a lot of practical stuff out of it. One, the games will always be based around health. Mm-hmm. It's not about business. Like we now have understood there's some practical application out of it, but our goal is to help, with better choices, right? Water, sleep is going to be one of our challenges. Step count is going to be one of our challenges. There are going to be many different things that we have as challenges, but the goal is really to have a healthier life. And so there are applications that can be in your business, but if anybody's wants to know how to do one of these, we'll definitely help you in constructing it and give you a roadmap or a guide of how to do it. So.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate you guys being on the podcast today and discussing this.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Thanks for inviting me.
I didn't invite you. Aaron did.
I did.
I appreciate it. Good information, and obviously more information listed below wherever you're watching or listening to this, and so you can reach out to us. I'm sure you could publish out your Google Sheet or something like that, right?
I mean, I can. It's not straightforward. So.
Yeah, you need to reach out to us.
32 tabs.
And then we'll explain it to you, because even me, I still get lost.
Hey guys, thanks again for joining us today. It was a blast. We've got lots of takeaways from this, and we definitely encourage you. If you want to find out more information about these competitions, reach out to us, and we'll be happy to share all of the information that we can with you. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. New episodes every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. where we talk about business ideas, practices, and strategies. Very similar to this, with lots of guests, lots of good information. So be sure you check that out at Loc-Doc.net/podcast. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.